yourself. So let's talk about this first key to your listing presentation, building a structured listing presentation. We're going to focus on that first. And here is the 10 parts of a structured your listing presentation. Again, okay, number one, ask a series of great questions over the phone. I'm going to give you those questions, okay? I'm going to give you those questions and go over them with you. But the point is, when you make the appointment for the listing presentation, don't get off the phone too quickly. Ask a few great questions. Begin establishing yourself as a professional before you ever get off the phone. It's one of the ways that you can actually set yourself apart and above your competition. Number two, prepare for the listing presentation. Now, you might prepare by walking through. You might do a two-step listing presentation where you do a walkthrough before you go on the listing presentation, or you might do a one-step where you walk through the house at the listing presentation. I happen to favor a two-step listing approach. I know that that takes extra time. However, I like seeing the house ahead of time. I like having all that visceral information of having been in the house before I work on the pricing. I like having that contact with the seller in a less formal environment. Maybe I'm only meeting with one spouse, not both. Talking a little bit more formally about why they're moving and what they're moving and what's important to them. It gives me all kinds of rapport, better ammunition, better information when I go back and do the listing presentation. So I'm a two-stepper. I like the walkthrough. That's part of my preparation, okay? And I'll teach you how to set that up when you're doing questions over the phone. But for everyone, your preparation includes mainly one thing, which is preparing your pricing recommendation, and secondly, tweaking or reviewing or rehearsing whatever parts of your marketing plan you feel might be most effective and most powerful with that particular seller. Third step, imagine or visualize as you're driving over there, as you're preparing, as you're driving over in particular, or even if you just want to take a moment, imagine or visualize yourself driving up to the property, arriving, parking, walking up to the front door, knocking on the door or ringing the bell. Imagine them opening. Imagine yourself smiling. Imagine yourself greeting them and walking into the house. Imagine yourself putting your things down, and if you're going to walk through the house then, imagine yourself doing that. Otherwise, imagine yourself asking a few questions to build rapport. Imagine the good feelings that are going back and forth between you and the sellers. Imagine waiting for and having both of them sit down and making sure you have their attention, and then imagine yourself conducting the opening questions. So imagine and visualize before you get there. Imagine them listening to you intently. Imagine them asking questions. Imagine them signing the listing agreement. Imagine them smiling as you walk out the door, confident that you're going to do the job. So I really do believe in imagine and visualizing that so that when you get to the door, there's a smile on your face because you've already lived through this and won. And then the other part of the third part here is you arrive at the house, you do enter, and you do have some opening questions, and I'll go over those opening questions with you as part of something called an Excellence in Service to Sellers form, which I'll show you in a moment. That leads right into, your opening evolves right into asking questions that establish rapport and establish strong relationship with the seller. Now these next ones, starting with 4 through 9, are all things that actually happen face-to-face when you're sitting down with the seller. So you're establishing rapport, asking questions, and I'm going to give you a piece that has been very valuable for me, and many of my clients have said they love this piece. It's called Reviewing Our Common Goals. And I'll give you it as a script. It will be in the handout, so you'll actually have the script, and you'll hear me do it on the phone around this webinar in a moment. So establishing rapport and reviewing what I call our common goals. Then you're going to present your marketing plan. Now, there's two theories here, present price first, present marketing plan first. I am a present marketing plan first person. I want that person to like me when I establish rapport, step 4, trust me when I go through the marketing plan, step 5, so that I get full cooperation when I present pricing, step 6. So I believe in presenting your marketing plan first, and you present it as you review the entire process. Okay, this is what we're going to do this evening. And then from here, then I'm going to go through the entire marketing plan, all the things I do to get your house sold for the most price, in the quickest time with the least inconvenience and most comfort for you, help you get moved on. But it doesn't end there because I market your house, but then you just walk through and review the whole process of what you're going to do that evening with them, and you do something called discuss the 6 reasons your home will sell or not. Again, that's part of the handout, and I'll be going over it with you on the phone here. But that 6 reasons is a very powerful way to set up the price adjustment meeting or the price reduction meeting you're going to have later with them understanding that that's a conversation that may be necessary and eager to have it with you, and easier for you to make that appointment to have that price adjustment conversation. Step 6 in the structure is presenting market value and pricing. Again, the 6 reasons actually introduces presenting market value and pricing, and then I'm going to go over with you today specifically tips and language on how to present market value and recommend pricing, and I'm going to give you something called the pricing message to the seller. Again, really powerful piece that is going to make your life a lot easier on every single listing. Step 7, I'm a strong believer in then reviewing a seller's net sheet. So you use a conservative price. If the house were, if the seller wanted to ask $399 and you're recommending $379 and you think it'll sell for like $365 now, then I would suggest that you do the net sheet at $365 and you introduce it by saying to the seller, you know, let's be really conservative here. I think your house may sell for more than this, but let's use a really conservative price. $365 is pretty conservative, isn't it? They go, oh yeah, I wouldn't even accept that. No problem. That's the price I want to use to just determine what your net might be. So that you can do a net when you get all done, deducting all of the expenses, going over your seller's net sheet. The bottom line is a number that they go, it's less than what we would want to end up with, but we could live with that. And I'll give you some language around that before we're done as well. So I believe in presenting a seller's net sheet, particularly in today's world where there is such a likelihood the seller's upside down, may owe more. As part of the net sheet, you're also going to ask what other liens or loans there are that are going to be paid off from the proceeds. Powerful conversation to establish rapport, understand what's going on, and make sure that you don't get blindsided with a seller who really can't afford to sell. Step 8, complete the paperwork and make a mutual decision. You're going to take the listing and they want to list with you, and then that leads directly to signatures, or it leads to them asking some questions or raising some concerns. I don't like to talk about handling objections because I think it's offensive to think about handling your seller. People don't want to be handled. So I talk about answering questions and addressing concerns, and then that leading to signature. That's really 4 through 9. We'll talk about the pieces of that as we go through this webinar. And the last step is afterward, within 24 hours, that night, that evening, the next day, you call to say, you know, I've been thinking about you, just want to check in and see if you have any other questions. If any questions arising out of our meeting yesterday, I've already gotten started. I've already called a bunch of agents to let them know your property's on the market, and we've already put in motion some of the marketing. So I've been thinking about you, and feel free to stay in touch. I'll be in touch regularly, etc. Those are the steps. Those are the 10 pieces, the 10 steps, the 10 parts of the structure of your listing presentation.